Hi everyone, Benvenuto. Welcome to Sunday Pasta Live. Benvenuti tutti. Today we are making one of my favorite pasta dishes, probably my all-time favorite, or one of the five of them. And it is spaghetti alla carbonara. And you've all had spaghetti carbonara someplace, and you've probably had it made wrong, incorrectly, unless you were in Italy. A lot of people like to improvise with it, but there's a little bit of wiggle room. But in general, it's a pretty simple formula, and it's not that easy to make, actually. It's so simple that it's not easy, because if you screw up, you end up with scrambled eggs and spaghetti rather than a creamy egg sauce. So we'll walk you through that, but quickly I'll show you the ingredients. Basically, spaghetti. I use Martelli spaghetti, which is from my friends up at Gustiamo in New York. You can find it on my website, but it's one of my favorite spaghettis. It's an artisanal Italian spaghetti, so you definitely need some really good Italian spaghetti. Pecorino Romano cheese. Some people will use Parmigiano, or some people will use a mixture of Parmigiano and Pecorino. The real recipe, really from Rome, calls for Pecorino Romano, so that's what we use. The next choice you have is guanciale, which is what you would use in Italy and Rome, mostly, or pancetta. And again, if you didn't know, the guanciale is the pork jowl, and the pancetta is the belly. So the jowl is a little bit fattier. I like the pancetta. It's also easier to find. If you can find guanciale, by all means try and experiment and see what you like. I have some friends that actually use both. And then eggs. And again, the number of eggs is kind of controversial. Some people would use 3 whole eggs. Some people would use 4 egg yolks. My friend Marco in Rome, the chef, my favorite chef, uses 2 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. So I follow his advice because he's smarter than I am and he knows what he's doing. So a little of olive oil just to make sure that the guanciale or the pancetta doesn't stick. Use a good Italian olive oil if you can. A little black pepper for garnish. And there you have it. So what we're going to do today is get the spaghetti cooking, which has a cooking time of a whopping 12 minutes. And in that time, I hope to serve al dente carbonara and not screw anything up. So we'll get that to boil. And the first thing we're going to do is get the heat on for the guanciale, or the pancetta. So as our pasta is cooking, so all in all, this is a really fast recipe to make. However, it's going to be faster for me because I pre-cut all the guanciale or the pancetta. I kind of measured out the cheese, and I have the water boiling already. So I think it's fair enough to say in my cookbook, Sunday Pasta, which you can buy on Amazon or at cool little indie bookstores in New York and New Orleans and San Francisco, the recipe is in here. I think it calls for like a half an hour to make, really, but we're going to do it today in about 15 minutes. Again, Sunday Pasta, the cookbook is available on Amazon and indie bookstores in New York, San Fran, New Orleans, other cool places. If you want one in a store near you, email me. But other than that, it's on Amazon, you can get it. The recipe is also in the book and obviously on Amazon. So the first thing we're going to do is put a little olive oil in the pan, just so that the guanciale doesn't stick to the pancetta. And then we're going to quickly fry up the pancetta. So the goal is to have this become crispy, but not too crispy so that it becomes crunchy. You don't really want crunchy guanciale, or you really don't want crunchy guanciale or pancetta in your carbonara. You want it to be cooked golden brown. Okay, 36. So we're going to let this get a little color to it. Basically let it become translucent. And we all know, it's like cooking bacon, obviously. It should be done pretty soon. And as soon as it's rendered, we're going to turn off the heat. In the meanwhile, let's crack some eggs. So what we're going to do is, like I said, 2 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. So 1 whole, course, everyone knows that eggs are different sizes. So when you're talking about how many eggs, if you use bigger eggs versus smaller eggs, it becomes more complicated. So you got to judge, and you got to decide yourself, whether you like a little bit more eggy or less. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a matter of taste. One of my friends has told me that he uses brown eggs and white eggs. So, like, there's a difference in the flavor between one or the other, and maybe there is. I just have not figured that out myself. Guanciale is cooking. I'm going to let it render. I'm going to raise it a little bit. Our spaghetti is cooking. Give it a good stir every once in a while. Again, it's a large pot of salted water, about a tablespoon of salt. Good pasta, you're good to go there. Good pancetta or real guanciale, you're good to go there. If you can get it imported from Italy, it's much better always. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to beat the eggs until they're nice and creamy. Again, sometimes people just use 3 whole eggs or 4, and sometimes they use a combination. So it really is about what you like. And then we're going to add about a half a cup of pecorino romano. So this is that plus a little bit more because I'm going to use it for garnish later, but we'll put most of that in. And we're going to beat this up so we have a creamy egg mixture. So that's ready to go. Again, you can put the pepper, it's for flavor, you can put them in now, or you can just put it on top later. Our guanciale pancetta is almost done, as you can see. And I'm going to probably take it off the flame right now because I want it to cool down, and it's going to keep kind of cooking on the hot stove. So again, you got to remember with spaghetti carbonara that if you were to put all of this egg stuff into that hot frying pan right now, you'd end up with a frittata or something like that. So what we want to do is let it cool down a little bit, get it off the heat, have the spaghetti cooked al dente, and then the eggs almost get cooked with the heat of the pancetta and the heat of the pasta. So in many ways it's a raw egg sauce, but in many ways you could say that it's cooked. I don't know, some people like to use pasteurized eggs, or at the very least use kind of organic farm-raised eggs in the kind of time of paranoia that we live with about salmonella and food poisoning. But I haven't had a problem yet, and I don't think you will either. So while the pasta is cooking, why don't we just talk about the wine? Again, the wine pairings in the book are done by Christy Canterbury, who's a friend and one of the 30-something masters of wine in the United States. So she's a highly educated, trained wine connoisseur. And she's done all the wine pairings in the book and also on SundayPasta.com. So today we're going to have a Umbrian red wine because it has a little bit of body to it and a little bit of fruitiness, and it should compete well or match well with the fat from the pancetta and the creaminess of the egg and the pecorino cheese. So if you can find yourself a good Umbrian blend, any kind of Umbrian blend is good. If you can't, you get yourself a good Chianti or some other sort of medium-bodied Italian red wine, or your favorite red wine. But we go with Italian wine because we want to stick with the dish. Again, I just also say for a second that all the photography in the book is done by another friend, Fabio Papadelli, who's a sommelier also, but a fashion photographer in New York from Rome. So the book has got all the great photography, and the website does as well. Again, you can get the book on Amazon. It's a great gift. Okay, so we have a couple minutes while the pasta's cooking. So it's really funny because a lot of times, you'll see spaghetti carbonara in a restaurant and they add cream. And the minute they do that, it's no longer spaghetti carbonara, it's spaghetti alla panna, spaghetti with cream. It might have some egg in it or something like that, but it's not really spaghetti carbonara. Or they add peas, in which case it's spaghetti with piselli, spaghetti with peas. or they add chicken, in which case it becomes, in my opinion, lo mein, because it's no longer Italian, because Italians do not put chicken on pasta. So they all might be delicious, but just don't call them spaghetti carbonara, because spaghetti carbonara is a pretty simple thing of spaghetti, pancetta or guanciale, pecorino romano cheese, egg, and a little pepper. So that's it. And there's a lot of discussion about the quantity of all those ingredients. But at the end of the day, you know, you could argue about the quantity of eggs and the quantity of guanciale or pancetta or the pecorino or the parmigiano or the type of spaghetti, or you could actually use something else like rigatoni or something like that. But at the end of the day, when you start adding all these other things, you know, like I said, they might be delicious, but they're not spaghetti carbonara. So let's just get that straight. So super simple and the most delicious thing in the world if you don't screw it up. So I'm going to hope not to screw it up today live on Facebook. Our spaghetti is almost done, I hope, I think. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reel them in. Like I said, we're enjoying a nice Umbrian blend today to go really well with the carbonara. There's also, you could use a heavier white wine if you wanted to. Again, we talk about it in the book. And it's a much more detailed recipe, wine pairing on SundayPasta.com if you wanted to go into the details of recommended vineyards and or really specific types of wine. So, okay. What we're going to do now, just while we're waiting for the pasta to finish, there's a couple legends as to where spaghetti carbonara comes from. So, one is that it was invented by the Carbonai, which are the coal mine workers from Umbria, hence the word carbonara, which is basically coal pasta, or coal miners' pasta would be Carbonai. They had very little resources and very little rations, so they had eggs, and they had guanciale, and they made spaghetti carbonara. I think we have a question.
All right. Rock Friedman asks, do you think pancetta is better than bacon?
Bacon. Well, bacon, pancetta is Italian bacon, first of all. It's cured and salted in a very specific way, in a very non-smoky way also. So you can buy smoked pancetta. A lot of American bacon is smoked. If you wanted to buy American bacon, you can and use it in a pinch. The problem is that it's cut very thin, so I didn't really talk about it enough. But if you look at the pancetta that we used, it is cut into bite-sized pieces. So it's really hard to find. What I like to do is go to the butcher, the Italian butcher, and have them pre-slice it into quarter-inch slices for me, which is pretty much really thick slice, and then chop it from there. If you were to use American bacon, which you could do, like I said, in a pinch, it's usually so thinly cut that it becomes too crisp and then too thin, and you can't really get it. So you have to almost cut it yourself. So again, pancetta is fine in a fix. Even my grandmother used it once in a while when she couldn't find pancetta. But the good old-fashioned pancetta or the guanciale is the best thing. The guanciale is going to be a little fattier, a little more flavorful, but it is really the right thing to be using.
Okay, and then Michael Cohen asks, do you temper the egg mixture with pasta water?
So if we wanted to, we could take a little pasta water and put some into the egg mixture. So I'm not going to do a lot. I'll do a little bit just to kind of get it a little bit creamier. It really depends on how much egg you have and how creamy you want it. You might want to put some in later. But as a rule, you can do it after it gets after you kind of combine everything to see how much moisture you have or how wet it is. But as a rule, you could do it. Some people do more than others, but it's going to be one of those things where you experiment and decide whether your eggs are jumbo or small, and whether there's enough creaminess to it. And you could always add it later if you retain some of the cooking water. So we're going to take the spaghetti, and we're going to add it to the pot with the guanciale. And I'm going to use my hands because, I'm eating it. And I don't want to waste any Martelli spaghetti. And then we're going to mix all of this up. Try to keep it all into the pot. And then really the next choice you have, honestly, is whether you mix the egg into the pan or put the pan into the bowl. And you can do it either way. And I guess I'll do it over here because I could probably get a better angle. But you do it either way, it doesn't really matter. The difficulty sometimes of doing it into the pan is that the pan might be so hot that the egg mixture cooks. So what I'm going to do is put it into here, and then give it a good quick stir. And you'll see we're getting all the egg mixed together. And we're getting a nice creamy texture to it, as you can see. It's not, you know, as I was fearing in my nightmares yesterday, turning into scrambled eggs and spaghetti in front of a billion people. So that's it, guys. And what we're going to do next is serve it up, which I'm not very good at doing in a nice way, but we're going to try to make it kind of attractive. Make sure that, you know, your pancetta is evenly distributed for all of your guests or for yourself. If you're lacking any, you could always throw a little bit more on. And then we want to put a little more pecorino on top for garnish, if you want. And you want to sprinkle it with some black pepper, I like a lot. And then you want to pair it with your wine and say buon appetito. Thank you everyone for joining us on Sunday Pasta today for spaghetti carbonara. SundayPasta.com, Sunday Pasta at Amazon and your favorite bookstore. And with that, buon appetito. Ciao.